Hey guys, Dasher Zach here from the Mousecast podcast, back with another review, this time of the ATK X1 Ultimate. I had one of the Pros in the black colorway, and I sold that when I got my Viper V3 Pro off of Mouse Market. But when I saw this up on sale on Black Friday with the bigger skates and the white colorway, I had to give it a shot. So speaking of the different versions, let's go ahead and take a look at those right now. So you see there's an X1 Pro, a Pro Max, an Ultra, and an Ultimate. And I would say the sweet spots for value and then performance here are either the X1 Pro or the X1 Ultimate. They're all the same size, they're all the same coating. There's the Ultra sensor of the paw 3950 in the X1 Ultra and the X1 Ultimate, but honestly, that doesn't make a huge difference. Performance is the same as far as I'm concerned. You can slightly change your LOD settings by a tenth of a millimeter as opposed to one, but not a big deal there. Same MCU, they all have the capability to go up to 8K hertz. The Pro Max I wouldn't recommend because it's just a bigger battery, which just adds 5 grams. As you can see there, 49 on the X1 Pro and 54 on the Pro Max. The Ultra I don't really see a huge argument for either because it doesn't really do anything better than the Pro Max or the Pro. As far as the Ultimate goes, there are some changes we'll get into. The main things you see here are the full-size gaming mouse feet, and it lists that it comes with an 8K dongle, although both a friend of mine and myself have purchased the X1 Pro from AliExpress, and honestly, it came with the 8K dongle as well, so I'm not really sure what's going on in that area. And as far as the main reason here to go with the Pro or the Ultimate, the Pro is the cheapest option. You get the lightest weight, you get the same performance, same great coating, all of that for the lowest price. And then the Ultimate just has a few upgrades as far as the sensor, which is not a big deal, but the skates that come with it are very nice. And there are some good bundles and sales that I found, and I'm sure they'll be coming back for the holidays as well. So taking a look at these mice side by side, we have the X1 Ultimate here and the Viper V3 Pro here. As you can see, they're virtually a one-to-one clone. There are very small differences that I'll go through. Starting at the bottom, you see that the X1 Ultimate has made a change where we have these large pad style skates, which are very similar to those that you see on the Viper V3 Pro. I have Ghost Glides edge runners on my Viper V3 Pro at the moment, and these ones on the ATK honestly feel as good or if not better than the Ghost Glide edge runners, which is a huge compliment to stock skates, specifically on a Chinese mouse. They're very smooth, they don't take away texture, and they just have a great feel to them. Speed-wise, they're honestly the same speed as like a good, maybe like Pulsar stock skate that comes on like an X2H, for example. So getting into some other differences between these mice, as you can see here, the scroll wheel is ever so slightly more forward on the X1, and the actuation of the button and the scrolling is just a little bit heavier in every way. They're both, I would consider them both light as far as scroll wheels go, but it's just a little bit heavier on the X1. If we take a look at the bottom again, side by side, I don't know if you can see this here, but the sensor is ever so slightly more forward on the X1, which honestly, there was something about the X1 that just felt better to me. I'm not really sure why that was, but I think I might have found it here that the sensor just lines up exactly with where I place my thumb with how I grip it here, with that slightly more forward position, and that might just work better for me. Another difference between the two is the switches. Razer has these Razer opticals, but their implementation of them, which I would say are much better than the stock Razer. And then the X1, all of the versions have the arm-run optical. They feel very good, and the same to me in the Pro and the Ultimate. Very spammable. One of the better implementations of those arm-run opticals that I've seen, to be honest with you. So, beside that, the QC on the X1 is, in my opinion, better. Although I've not used this X1 for a long time, the Pro I had stood up pretty well over a couple months of use. This Viper I got used on Mouse Market, but I don't know if you can hear, there's some creaking. Of course, it's not going to do it for me right now when I try and do a sound test, but if I don't use this mouse and I pick it up and squeeze it, there's like some creaking, which Razer's become kind of known for with their mice recently. And then the X1, it does feel a little just more hollow in how it's constructed, and it does come in 4 or 5 grams lighter, which is a huge plus for the X1. It's impressive that they have such solid build quality with a lighter weight. Another difference that I noticed that affects me is something on the Viper V3 Pro and the Razer. All their mice is they have this very sharp front edge here, and the way that I grip the mouse, that digs into my ring finger right here and becomes uncomfortable after some time. The X1, all of the versions again have this like slightly more rounded edge, which is more comfortable for me to hold, and I really appreciate that that change was made. I honestly throw grip tape on the front of my Razer mice here if I use them for a long period of time just to alleviate that issue. See, that's the main differences between the two. One last difference I've found between these mice is that the side buttons are slightly more forward on the X1, as you can see here with the black side buttons, as opposed to the side buttons on the Viper V3 Pro. I would give the edge to the Viper V3 Pro here. I do like Razer's slightly larger side buttons that they have, and they're pretty responsive. And then I hold my thumb a little bit farther back on the mouse, so it's really nice to be able to reach those. But I still do enjoy these more like slightly pill-looking side buttons on the X1 here. They're very crisp, not a lot of pre-travel, doesn't sink into the shell too much. But yeah, just a slight difference in how you reach those and where they're placed on the mouse. Just one more point that I wanted to cover here was the coating on the two mice. The Viper V3 Pro is rubberized and extremely grippy, possibly one of the best coatings I've felt on a mouse. But the ATK X1 in all forms does not fall short on its coating. It's probably about 90% as good and also very grippy. One of my favorite budget mice coatings that I've encountered, so full marks there for me as well. Another thing that I thought that might be beneficial that I'd like to add to my videos is just doing more comparisons, not necessarily to like shape clones or very similar shapes, but to mice that are competitors in the market. So here we have the X1 Ultimate, the Maya X, and the GPX, which I would consider like the flagship, the main shapes, along with the Viper V3 Pro, that are all competing with the medium, large, ambi, just safe shape mouse. So we'll do some side-by-sides just so you can see the overall look of these mice. The Viper V3 Pro being a little bit taller here, a little bit longer. Obviously the profiles will change on the front, but overall very closely positioned in the market. And then we also have the GPX2 here, the one everybody knows. I would describe it best as a potato because there's not a lot of contouring, there's not a lot of craziness in the design. It's very safe, which I'm sure is very intentional from Logitech. These come in very similar in size too. The Viper is going to be, or the X1, slightly larger and longer than all of these, but in hand, as far as size goes, they're all very similar, and they're all definitely stacking up against one another. Between these three mice, including the Mad G here, honestly, I think the Viper V3 shape, especially how it's implemented here in the X1, may just be the safest, best shape on the market, in my opinion. You definitely can't go wrong with the Maya X, the Mad G. You can't go wrong with the GPX, or if you find a high-quality clone of that. But the Viper V3, that shape is something I just come back to. I can perform well on snipes with snapping aim in Fortnite. I can perform well with a shotgun up close, tracking in a smooth bot scenario, or following someone in the air. It's just like, it's the most consistent. It doesn't have that back hump presence as defined as something like, say, the X6, the X2H, or the Sora, but the length of the mouse just does still provide nice palm support, and it just feels so comfortable in hand, specifically with these comfort grooves here, that it's one of the best shapes in my opinion. At first, when I went to record this review, I decided I wasn't going to look at the ATK software because it's the same as it is for all of the ATK, VXC, the Magi, the Madar, all those mice. But interestingly enough, a day after my last video on the Magi, they updated the software a little bit. So the general look of it's the same here with DPI, performance settings. These are all the same. But they did change the UI a little bit, and something I noticed is under this equipment tab here, you can now add multiple mice. You see my X1 Ultimate here, as well as this is the Mad G. So this will save as long as you're, I believe, logged in or don't clear your history, but I did restart my computer and these devices went away. So interested to see if they save those in some sort of cookie going forward or just have some sort of process to make it easier, because it is a little bit annoying to have to add new equipment and choose a dongle every time you come back into this web software. But yeah, beside that, all the same, all good. Always appreciate a WebDriver. So now we'll go ahead and do a full sound test of the X1 Ultimate. First we have M1 and M2 with those on-run opticals. The scroll wheel, which again, notchy but like very light and still very spammable, and honestly feels shockingly similar to the one on the Razer. Very, very nice. Side buttons. And then, yeah, no creaking, just a slight bit of fun of flex there. Doesn't bother me, can't feel it at all in game, and no creaking on this mouse whatsoever. So yeah, that about does it here for my review of the ATK X1 Ultimate. In my opinion, just the best version of this mouse, although there's absolutely nothing going wrong when you pick up the X1 Pro. Specifically, if you're going to use aftermarket or dot skates, then these aren't as big of a deal. I do appreciate that they put not only this set that comes on the mouse, but another set in the box, as well as grip tape. Always appreciate some grip tape. I actually have the side grip tape on this. It's white. I didn't want to show that in the video because it really shows grime pretty easily, but I often do use the Viper, the X1 with the side grip tape. I'll probably just slap that standard back tape you see here that helps my tilt grip that I have on my Purple Frost OP1 8K. But for opinions on this mouse, it's an absolute banger. I'm almost definitely going to sell my Viper V3 Pro. Instead of keeping this terrible mouse spin there, sorry Board Z, selling the Viper V3 Pro for probably $100, $110 because the market value of that thing just doesn't crash, and keeping this that I spent roughly $60 before cash back on AliExpress, it seems like a no-brainer. I can give a full recommendation to pick this mouse up, and yeah, looking forward to what ATK has to come out next. If you have any more questions, comments, please leave them below, and yeah, I always appreciate a like and a subscription. Ooh, for ya. Oh, what a great voice crack.